Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Aimee Talks Too Much podcast. I'm joined here today with my children. Oh my, look at them. They're actually a gift I got from my boyfriend for my birthday. I just think they're so cute, so I had to include them. I'm currently in my childhood home. My home from when I was like 15 till I was about 19. Yeah, 4 years. My home of 4 years in London. I'm out. Work for me has finished. Uni for me has finished. That dorm room is dead. Rest in peace, the dorm room. But I wasn't going to film a video today. I was kind of feeling like today was meant to be a chill day. I didn't even do a full face. My hair looks shit. But I honestly just had so many things to talk about. Like, it didn't make sense to not film a video. And when this whole thing I'm doing stops becoming like a passion project, I know that my time is up. In London at the moment, it is 29 or 30 degrees outside. I am literally sweating my metaphorical balls off. I would love to have the fan on in this room, but I found out that it absolutely kills my mic quality. Oh, let's talk about that. So my last episode took ages to come out, right? Like a diabolically long amount of time. And I thought, how do I explain this? I filmed that podcast episode. This little blue light that you're seeing here. Oh my god, is it even on? You guys are on, right? You can hear me? Great, because last time you couldn't and nobody wanted to let me know. So I filmed, it was fabulous. I finished it, I watched it back. Oh my god, it sounded like it had been recorded on a microwave. So what did I have to do? I had to take the entire podcast in 5-minute segments. It was 50 minutes, 5-minute segments, download it into Adobe Podcast to like add a microphone, kind of like more effect so you could hear what I was saying clearer on it. Like, it genuinely took, I think, 6 hours to edit, and my laptop is a bajillion years old. I got it when I was 16, so it's at least 4 or 5 years old, and it just like ran out of storage. It decided that, like, you know what, after 4 years of never telling you I had a storage issue, I have 2 terabytes of iCloud storage that I brought because I was like, I'm creating now, like I'm gonna need the storage. Did it fucking do anything though? Did it fucking do anything? No. Oh my god, it made me, like, I actually was so ready to crash out. I was so angry that whole time editing. I was like, and also, oh my god, I didn't even include this. I just had my birthday. I turned 20. 20. You're 20? Yeah, I am. So I turned 20, and then I moved into my new house, and then I came back here. So I literally was in London, did a dinner with my friends, went back to move into my new place. I had 5 days to move into the new place. My parents came down on the second day to help me. First day, I was doing everything on my own. I had to clean my whole room, and it was disgusting because it was a uni house, and oh my god, it was so stressful. And then by the time I left, I had to come back here because I had another birthday dinner with like another group of friends, and ever since then I've been chilling. But then that's when I actually got the time to edit the last podcast episode, if that makes sense. But otherwise, hella stressful, guys. And oh my god, not only that, right? So I released my most recent podcast episode recently, and I enjoyed making that episode, but I don't know, it's a very niche audience, isn't it? Makeup, acne, blush. And I wasn't sure how it was going to be received. And then I had loads of my friends messaging me being like, Aimee, I love this episode, like it was so good. And I was like, guys, flirt with me later, Jesus. But then I also had one of my first hate comments. I've had hate comments before. No, okay, would I say they're hate comments? Not necessarily. I just had someone comment bop on one of my videos, and I thought, kind of funny, right? But also not funny because I'm a Catholic woman, so don't comment that again. But then I had like an actual whoa, just kick this. Then I had like an actual person comment on my video, and they said, I don't even remember what they said. It was like, personally, this was a hard watch for me. I've watched all of your episodes. Thank you for the enlightenment. And I was like, so you watched all my videos? I did something right. But anyway, I've just been kind of sitting on that. And then I was like, you know what? That has spurred me on to film another episode. I read that comment about 10 minutes ago, and I was like, get the camera. Dead ass. So here I am filming another episode. I actually do have one plan, so we might just stick to the actual topic that I was going to start with. I wanted to talk about moving out because I don't think anybody truly explains how stressful the process of moving out is. Let's start with how moving worked for me. So, I got a lovely little email from my accommodation saying, pack your shit and go. In fact, I actually had people walking into my bedroom whilst I was still in my comm being like, oh, we thought you moved out already. And I was like, babes, my contract ends on the 5th of July. Come back then, you know? Do not be walking into my room on June 20th. It's fine. I forgive them. Love and light, love and light. So I had my birthday on June 28th, came back to on June 30th, got the keys to my new place July 1st, had to move all my stuff by 10 a.m. on July 5th. Stay with me now, okay? Hear me out. I decided July 1st, so many of my housemates were moving in with their parents. Not that their parents are living with us, but they were like helping them move in. Vans were everywhere, people screaming, you know, plates being thrown into cupboards. I claim that one. It was manic. It was mania. We had already agreed on rooms, so that wasn't an issue. But one of my flatmates, her mattress was moldy. Yeah, it was actually moldy. Her room had loads of mold behind one of the wardrobes. So her mom, bless her, deep cleaned the entire thing. We then had to like call the landlord over to get a new mattress. And then he decided to tell us that he couldn't magic one up, which, duh, but we have an IKEA in the city, so could you be there in the next 5 days, you know? But he wasn't very helpful. I felt bad for my flatmate, but she did get it sorted in the end. She had a lot of helping hands. My room was okay. It was a little dirty. It was a bit dirty. It needed a good clean. There was a lot of hair in the sink in my room. Yeah, there's a sink in my room. I don't know why. There was a lot of like dirt on the windowsill. There's like bird shit on the fucking window. Oh, I don't know how I feel about it, but I cleaned it to the best of my abilities that day. I decided that's what I was going to do all day, was clean. That day was also 30 degrees in the uni city that I live in. So moving in on a 30-degree day, like cleaning, doing anything, feels so impossible. It was genuinely insane. Also, my parents came to help me on the second day, so I didn't have any help that day. And my mum wasn't even meant to be coming down. It was just going to be my dad, who was literally going to drop my bags off into this dirty room and head back to London. So I was getting really stressed out. I'm not going to lie. I had a full-on mentee bee in my new room. I was like, oh my god, what do I do? My boyfriend called his mum. I felt so bad. I'm like on the phone crying to her, being like, I don't know what to do. Oh my god. I'm like, you know, I'm a mess. I don't like when people see me like this. I've usually got it together, you know. Oh, Aimee knows what she's doing. She's got her house sorted. She's got her degree sorted. I did not like being like, oh my god, my room is disgusting. Please just anyone come and save me from this disaster. Now, luckily, it didn't have to come to that. My mum decided to surprise me and came down the next day because I called her, sobbing my eyes out, and I think she realised that she was in need. I needed some motherly love and I needed some cleaning advice. So my mum and dad came the next day, and all my stuff was packed, by the way. My mum helped move like a teeny bit at the end, but everything else was packed. They helped me move it all to my new room, and I think it only took 2 trips. And Nathan came and helped me. My boyfriend Nathan helped me move in. And so it was so good. The second day was perfect. Then we went for a little Shmai trip or whatever. And in case you guys forgot, I work for Shmai, so I got a little cute little co-worker discount. So we went to Shmai, we picked up some furniture. So my chair in my room was like so dirty, had so many hairs, crumbs, things like that in it, to the point that like I was vacuuming it, I was wiping it down, I was cleaning it, I was deep cleaning it, literally could not get them all out. There was constantly like girls' hairs everywhere, and they were like brown and curly, and they were obviously not mine. So I was just like, you know what, get rid of the damn thing, let's just get a new chair. Let's just get a new chair for like 50 quid. So we went to Shmai. I got a new chair, a couple new plants for my room to just look kind of cute and girly or whatever. I got like a little bedside table because I didn't already have one. It doesn't have a drawer or anything, but it's more for like my retainers, my water bottle at night, things like that. Nothing crazy. Oh, and then I got like little boxes for my shelves, because my shelves have like holes in them, if that makes sense. They're wooden, but they're like wooden planks, so there's spaces in between them, and a lot of my things are quite small and dainty, so they would fall through. So I had to get like little storage boxes so they don't fall through. But that was my Shmia trip. It was absolutely fabulous. We get back to the house, we start building it. My parents are ready to hit the road at this point, you know, they've had enough. They took us to Mackey's, I got a little milkshake, I was having the time of my lives, but they had to get back on the M1 or whatever it was before there was like a bunch of traffic. So my dad's like looking at his watch being like, come on guys, we gotta go. And we're building the furniture, and as we're trying to build the furniture, my dad looks through the chair that I just got, and genuinely half of it is missing. I was like, oh my god, only now this would happen, you know. And this chair was so heavy to like carry to the house, which is so weird, because when you actually hold the chair up, okay, this is what I need to talk about. This is the gripe I have with furniture. Why, when it's in the box, is it so heavy, but the minute you build it, it's light? Riddle me that, come back to me. Anyway, so as we're holding the box is really heavy, but it's missing a load of stuff. But also the shape of the box, it would seem like everything is in there, if that makes sense. Like, it seems fully packed. You know, I was like, oh, it's okay. Me and Nathan will take it back as soon as possible and we'll get a new one. It's fine. My mom is like, absolutely not. It is too heavy. We will take you back to IKEA. My poor dad agrees, but he obviously just wants to get on the road. And so we drive back to IKEA. You know, I return it. They give me a refund. It's great. They actually gave me a like gift card so I could buy it again, because that was kind of the plan. So they put it on the gift card, and then we go and we find the chair again, and we thought maybe there was a second part that we didn't see. There wasn't. We see another box. We decide to give it a little open up, have a little look, see what's going on in there, and it's like the same amount of parts missing. So we're kind of looking at each other like, we have to be stupid. We teared that box apart. Like, where could these parts be? I decided to call over another Shmia co-worker, not somebody that I knew because I work on a different floor, but I just asked her. I was like, please help us. We don't know what we're doing. My parents are going to kill each other. She comes over and she's like, let me go and get this sorted. I don't know why it's missing things, like all these boxes. Maybe there's an error. I think she's starting to panic. What if there's just an error with this chair, you know? So she takes it with her, and another coworker comes. And anyway, the missing parts were in there. They were in the box. But guys, please take a minute to guess where these missing parts might have been in the box. Okay, enough guessing time. They were in the seat. In like the cushiony seat, they were in the seat. So the lady zipped open the seat, and all the little like parts, all the bolts, the actual wheels for the office chair were in there. And I was like, girl, what the hell? Who designed this? Who thought that was a good idea? Even if you want to do that, put it on the instructions. Like, it genuinely said nothing. So anyway, my dad at this point was hella pissed. He was like, oh my god, we just did this for no reason. We just came all the way here. Actually, we didn't do it for no reason, because I forgot to mention I had to get new curtains because my curtains had mysterious brown stains on them. I don't know who was in my room last and decided to use my curtains as toilet paper, but I am not happy with you because they look disgusting. Don't get me wrong, I could wash them, but I don't have a bath to soak them in. Like, we only have showers. So I was like, let's just throw the whole curtain away, or like keep it till next year. So we go to buy new curtains. These curtains are gorgeous, but they are too small for my window, and they are not long enough. So we had to get new ones. So that's what we came there to get a refund for as well. So I got an actual refund for those. So my dad was just pissed. He was just like, oh, but you could have done that. Like, you know, the curtains are not heavy. We didn't have to drive you all the way here. Like, you can tell he was mad. We go to Dunelm at that point to try and get some like new curtains, because Shmia was just not cutting it. Did Dunelm have them? No, they don't. I don't even know if they actually delivered them. They were meant to come here like 2 days ago, but God knows where they are. They didn't have them. They actually only had my curtains for like £80. And my mum was like, I love you, but not £80 worth of love. And so we hopped back in the car. My parents drove me back to my dorms. And my mum very quickly set up my little bedside table. I'll show you when I'm back at home. And then, yeah, they left. They were like, we need to go. And bless them, they were on the road for 3 hours after that. And usually my uni city can take like an hour and a half. So it was like double the journey time. But small price to pay for the daughter that you love. So moving was so stressful. Nathan then made my chair for me. I was like, yes, build a boyfriend or whatever. And then I started decorating the room and, you know, putting things in the wardrobe. I had 2 wardrobes in there, and then also like a chest of drawers, but I didn't have any like compartments in the wardrobes, if that made sense. So that I have quite a few things in my chest of drawers because like a lot of things needed drawers. For example, like jumpers I'm not wearing right now, where the hell am I meant to store them? Because anybody who owns a shit ton of jumpers, because I love jumpers, the minute you hang them up on a hanger, they take up like genuinely half of your wardrobe space with like one jumper. So I had to like shove them all in my little chest of drawers, and then I had to like figure out, okay, what do I want hanging up in my wardrobe, and then what do I want in my chest of drawers, and you know, whole thing. And then we had, you know, everyone moving in and low-key moving in beef, and it's just like, oh, you know, 7 people living in one house, as fun as it's going to be, is also going to be so stressful, like so incredibly stressful. And then a few days ago, I get a message. Now, I want to preface that my entire flat has paid the deposit for this house. We've all paid first month's rent. We've done all the things. We've signed all the documents. We've given all our information. Our parents have given all their information because obviously when you're a uni student, you need a guarantor, somebody from the UK, like just a crazy amount of information that we've had to give to these estate agents over the last few months. Not only that, but these estate agents have lost our information multiple times, and they have been very untrustworthy and honestly just so bad. But we moved, we have a lovely house now. I got a message that I never wanted to read from one of my flatmates, and essentially, well, now housemate. So essentially she was saying that she could no longer live in the house. Obviously everybody has their reasons for not being able to live with us, but oh my god, I love her so much. But the way she worded it, girl, she messaged the group chat and was like, oh, does anybody know anyone looking for a spare room? And we were all like, why? Because I think we were worried that she might want to move out of the house and then move into someone else's place. And she was like, oh, I can't live in the house anymore for personal reasons. We ended up talking it out and, you know, sorting everything out. And I think she is now going to live with us again. But oh my god, it was the most stressful 24 hours of my life, because so one person's rent is about £500 a month. So what was going to happen was, if we could not find someone to fulfill her contract, come August time, £500 was going to be split between 7 of us, which doesn't sound too bad, but it's still money. And then we were all going to basically have to pay for this random room that's just sitting there empty. I called my boyfriend. I was like, babe, like, can you just take this room and not live in accommodation if we like need you to? And he was so on it. He was like, of course I can, and we're gonna have a sofa. He was kind of thinking of it as like my room would be the bedroom and his room would be our front room. And I was just like, no, just have your own bedroom, so that, you know, when we have an argument, I can go to your room and he can run in there. But yeah, he was so on it. He was so happy, honestly, to like join the house. And then my flatmate was like, oh, actually, I'm gonna stay. And I had to break the news to my boyfriend, who was like devastated. But it's okay. I'm sure like next year or in a couple years time we'll be living together anyways. Manifesting. I'm realizing I'm moving this mic a lot away from me. I will try and bring it back as much as possible. I think I'm very conscious of the fact that, number one, my mic was not on last episode, so I think I'm just very happy to have it wherever. But also, this mic picks up audio so strongly, so if I'm too close, I have to be quiet, because it will like ring in your ears and possibly kill you. I don't know, but I don't want to risk that, because I love you guys. Like, I don't want to risk that. Sorry babes, I had to change my shirt. I was fucking sweating in the other one. The Cambridge Dictionary has 3 definitions of moving on. The first one being to leave the place where you are staying and go somewhere else. The second one is to start a new activity, and the third one is to accept that a situation has changed and to be ready to deal with new experiences. I like the last one. I think the last one is more what we were going for when we were asking, like, you know, what is moving on? So I was scrambling. I was like, how do I know how to move on from first year and my dorm room and, you know, friendships and things like that? And I decided to look into, like, what does pop culture tell us about moving on, right? Think about some really famous films. The first one that at least that came to my mind was Bridget Jones. You know, that's that classic tub of ice cream, singing sad songs, oh, by myself, you know, or watching a sad film. And that's really what pop culture really shoves in our face, that's what moving on is after a relationship, for example. Another one I actually thought of was Legally Blonde. I think that film promotes a much more positive reaction when it comes to moving on. When Elle and Warner break up, Elle does initially chase after him, go to the same school as him, you know, try and get back into his social circle. But eventually she reinvents herself after rejection, right? She becomes this new woman and she falls in love with the court of law way more than she was ever in love with Warner. And I think that film really shows how moving on can mean experiencing new things about yourself and diving into a new career or a new chapter in your life. And forget about the man. You don't need to chase him. Go for the one that's been by your side the entire time, you know, the entire film, if you will. Another few honorable mentions. I was thinking about my favorite film of all time, Forrest Gump. I freaking love Forrest Gump. That film will never not make me sob. It will never not give me hope. And if you watch that film, I would say the person that does the most moving on is Jenny, right? She has to move on from her abusive father. She has to move on from all these friendship circles that she's in throughout the film, all these abusive ex-boyfriends. And she always seems to come back to Forest because that's where her true home is. So the entire film is her living all over the country with all different people. But she eventually does find her forever home and her forever person in Forest. Forest is a person, by the way, for people that haven't watched the film, so don't think she's just living in the forest. That's not what I'm promoting here. The last one that I wanted to add is a children's film, but I'm pretty sure everybody has watched this film, and if you haven't, please stay the fuck away from me, okay? It is such a good film. It's such a classic. Go download it, guys. Up, right? Up. Oh my god. The film of heartbreak. When you watch it now, oh, it's such an emotional film. The song Married Life literally ruins me. When I was doing my composition in year 11 for my music GCSE, I wanted to sample Married Life and I wanted to make a song about that film, but I didn't end up doing it, but it was such an inspiration for me. But Up shows one of the biggest progressions of moving on ever, right? We have Carl, who's living in the house that him and his wife lived in, and things are getting built around him, and he has to let go of his home. Everybody is saying to him, "You gotta sell this house, we're gonna build a motorway," or whatever it was where he was living. And he says, "Fuck it. I'm gonna put a bunch of balloons on my house and I'm literally gonna fly away." That man, after the loss of his wife, literally flies away in his home. And it really shows that no matter what age you are, it's never too late to experience new things, new adventures, if you will. And you should always continue to live life to the fullest after loss, even if you are in your 70s or your 80s and the loss was the love of your life. Of course you'll be reunited with them in the future if that's something you believe in. But I just love that film. It gives so much hope. And his connection with Russell, and then, him connecting with a younger person, almost like a surrogate son who didn't have a dad. And it's just, the film is so beautiful, and I feel like it's the epitome of moving on, right? He doesn't ever forget his wife. He never forgets his wife throughout the film, but he experiences new things that he knows she would have loved, and it's just beautiful. So to summarize pop culture, what does pop culture tell us about moving on? What I learned is it tells us a lot about moving on, and that there's a lot of different ways to move on. Most of these are relationship move-ons, but I do think that friendship breakups can be sometimes worse than normal breakups. So feel free to add this advice onto any friendship breakups, event changes, actual partner breakups, anything, loss. Pop culture seems to tell us that it's okay to be sad, eat that ice cream, sing that sad song, watch that sad film, sit in your emotions for a while, but know that it's never too late to experience something new. Eventually you have to get yourself out of that rut, right? Reinvention after rejection or loss or anything like that. Build your new adventures. Maybe you go traveling across the country, who knows? And you will eventually find your forever home. That's what I got from pop culture, at least. And then obviously as a psychology student at my uni, I was like, what does psychology say about moving on. Now, this is something that I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of before. The actual name of it is the Kubler-Ross model, but essentially it is the model that includes denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. Now, what a lot of people don't know about this model, the origins are they come from psychologist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. We love a female psychologist out here, who interviewed terminally ill people and asked them about their own feelings about their own deaths, right? Knowing that their lives were coming to an end. So this was the most frequent emotions felt, and then in this order: the denial, the anger, the bargaining, the depression, the acceptance. The denial is, this can't be happening, right? Apply it to literally any type of loss. This can't be happening. Surely I haven't just finished my last year at university. This can't be happening. Surely I'm no longer friends with this person. This can't be happening. I can't be in a breakup, right? Anger, why did it end like this? Why has it ended so abruptly? Why did it end so badly? Why did it end on good terms and I don't know how to move on? Bargaining, maybe if I just reach out again, maybe if we give it another shot, it will work out this time. Maybe next year will be the exact same experience. Depression, the weight of what has been lost, right? Really just sitting on you, knowing that you're never going to get that back. And then acceptance, knowing that everybody has to move on at some point, and this is your sign that it's finally time to pack up and go. Acceptance comes with so much peace and understanding that this thing that you're holding on to is no longer serving you, right? And that's exactly what these patients realized, is holding on to the fact they're gonna die is not gonna make them die any slower, or not at all. They had to just accept it and let go and live life to the fullest until they couldn't. That theory, as heartbreaking as it is such a great example of the phrase, it gets worse before it gets better, right? You think about just the decline, the denial, the anger, the bargaining, the depression, and then the acceptance, right? Things will get worse, it will hurt more, you'll start getting, maybe separation anxiety, feeling like you're lost without this person or this life goal, and then eventually you'll realize that that just does not define you, and you can always change, and you can always find someone else, and you can always grow. Attachment and detachment are so important as well when it comes to forming new bonds and breaking old ones. How do you break a bond that's so hard to let go of, that you've had for years, especially if people believe in soul ties and stuff? How do you break such a rigid bond? Well, psychology says you go through a mini grief. You go through a grief period where you mourn that person in your life, or that version of your life, your old lifestyle. And even with good changes, you go through a grief period, This might not be the best example, but when I left for uni, I did mourn my old life in London. The friends that I wasn't going to see every week, the relationships that I had formed for the last 18 years over here, that I was going to have to push to the side to earn a degree. My family, who I had lived with my entire life, my 2 little brothers, not being able to see them every day and see them grow up more and more and more. But it comes with something good, and eventually I accepted that my degree and working towards this amazing future was all going to be so worth it eventually, and I can always catch up on lost time. Maybe that's a bit presumptuous of me. Of course, we never know how much time we have, but that's how I kind of soothed myself, was knowing that I was doing something amazing for my life to benefit me, and I would always regret not reaching for my goals. Something that I didn't see a lot of people talk about was this cognitive dissonance that comes with any type of breakup and any type of life change. When you don't think something's going to happen, your body and your brain wants to reject it. Cognitive dissonance is when this new reality is clashing with the old reality, right? The expectations that you had in your mind are not matching up with what's actually going on, and it's causing your brain and your body a lot of discomfort. A really good example of that is maybe this relationship that you thought you were going to be in forever has just ended, and now you're single, and you envisioned your entire life with this person. And how are you meant to move on from the fake kids that you dreamt of, and the house and the family and everything? And now you've got to deal with the fact that you're back to square one. A lot of the time after experiencing cognitive dissonance, a lot of people's perception of themselves becomes somewhat skewed. You need to build this new identity for yourself, right? The old identity, the person you thought you were going to be with, be friends with, this old life event, that's no longer serving you. It's no longer working. It's not even a possibility for you anymore. You have to move on. You have no other option. And you have to move on in a way that you build a new life that you didn't expect yourself to even have to think about. So your new identity slowly becomes constructed. You start reaching out to your friends again to speak to them about the breakup. You start going on hikes. You start developing new hobbies. You start, becoming this new version of you that is now aligned with your new future. Nobody talks about how difficult it is to go through the motions of who am I without this person? Who am I without this goal? And start discovering the person you are away from them, especially in relationships and friendships. When you're so locked in for such a long time, you almost become one in a lot of ways, right? When people talk about you, it becomes someone and someone. When people talk about your goals, they immediately reference, oh, she wants to be this, she wants to be that. So having to move away from that and remember who you are and your passions and what you're good at away from this life you've dreamed of is so incredibly hard, but it is possible. Sometimes you just have to let go of previous goals, relationships, homes, etc. Now, what we find is that eventually resilience grows, right? And often it is the more that you lose, the easier it becomes. As horrible as it sounds, you've gone through these emotions before. They're not new to you. They might hurt, but they hurt in different ways, right? Maybe your first love, you didn't expect it to end. And then the second person, you didn't expect to be betrayed again. This loss is always going to be different every time you experience it. Even when you experience moving into different homes, you have all the memories of the old places that you've lived. So moving into the next place becomes slightly easier each time. But as you do move on, you have to find purpose and meaning again. And the time frame can vary, but it is possible for every single individual. You can always find a new purpose, and it isn't ever unachievable. Now, with that brief pop culture lesson and psychology lesson, what is my take on moving on after moving on from a home? I have moved on from relationships. I've moved on from friendships. What do I think moving on is, and how does somebody do it? Well, my answer is the most annoying answer. But moving on is not linear, just like healing is not linear. It's not heartache, then grief, then peace. Sometimes you feel amazing at points, and then sometimes you feel the worst you've ever felt. Sometimes it happens the other way around. Sometimes you feel so awful in the moment, but the minute you get away from the thing that's been hurting you and eating at you, you feel so much better and you start to become yourself again. A big thing that I believe is you can't heal what you're not willing to feel. You have to go through the motions, okay? I've gone through the motions and I've not gone through the motions. And let me tell you something, everything that I've gone through the motions of, I actually feel healed from. You have to feel what you're feeling in that moment to eventually move past it. It will just stay within you. Whether you believe in your psyche, whether you believe in the subconscious, you believe in a more Freudian aspect, it will stay there. That does not move out of your body. Those experiences that you have, you start building a negative connotation towards them because you're just holding in all this emotion. It's a big reason why a lot of women now believe they're getting chronic illnesses. It's because they're holding in so many negative emotions they have towards husbands, friends, life events. We've been told to hold it all in, keep yourself together, but don't. Let yourself break down because you will become new. One of the main ways they tell you in GCSE biology that new bonds are made is bonds have to be broken first before new bonds can be made. Let yourself get broken down. Let yourself get rid of the people in your life that are toxic, and you will form new and better bonds that are going to work for this new version of yourself that you're becoming. The worst thing to do is to let things fester. This is going off topic, but I love the Catherine Ryan podcast. She has a podcast called Telling Everybody Everything, and I love it so much. It's such an incredible podcast. And I remember in one of her earliest episodes, she talks about this quote that she heard, and forgive me, I don't remember who it came from, but essentially she says, resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And it's so true. Do not let your ill will or bad feelings about another person fester and hurt your mind and your soul and your body, because thinking bad and talking bad about someone is never going to do anything to them. It might give you some temporary relief, like some catharsis or whatever, but it is not going to help you in the long run. It is not going to help them. In fact, it might just get back to them and make the situation way worse. You're better off just accepting what happened and honestly forgiving them. You don't have to even say that you forgive them to their face, but forgiving them for yourself is something that I've learned to do. And it's not selfish. It's actually one of the most selfless things you can do. Look after yourself, and other people will be taken care of around you. And when it comes to moving on, you never have to forget about the event or the person or the memories. But you do need to accept that what you're moving on from is just memories now. It's not a person. You don't know that person anymore. You don't know this goal anymore. It's all just memories. They are not something that entirely defines you as a person. You have always been you. At the start and at the end, all you have is you. So sometimes, whilst memories and nostalgia can hurt, know that these people are not in your life anymore. They can't hurt you. Even if that idea that, oh, these people aren't in my life anymore hurts me, they're not there for a reason. If they were meant to be lifelong people, they would be there, okay? If they wanted to, they would. If they gave you a good enough reason, they would have. I don't want to get it misconstrued. Nobody ever has to forget what has ever happened to them. But you do need to accept that these people and these life events become memories. But memories will never define you, okay? Memories never define you. Change your goal, change your person. That's fine. That can be part of your story, but it will never be who you are. One of the worst things you can do when moving on, and I've found this out for myself, is what ifing. But what if we stayed together? What if I did this? What if I did that? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. It's not happening. You're not doing that. You can't do that. You need to have some self-respect, you know? Stand on business. It will literally do nothing for you. The better thing to do is challenge your mind. Do the unexpected thing. When you break up with someone or something's changed, go out with friends. Meet new or old friends. Get into a hobby like I was speaking about early. Literally move away from the thing that's hurting you. When I went through my first breakup, it sounds weird, but I really found that time did help a little bit. I will get into time in a second. But the way that I would think about it was I would spend every day with someone to just kind of help me not be alone with my emotions. And I remember every day that would pass since the day that we broke up, I thought, I'm 1 day away from him. I'm 2 days away from him. I'm 3 days away from him. And now I'm like 5 years on or something crazy. But it feels so good because it feels like such a journey away from that person, knowing how far you've come and how far you've changed. And now I think about it, I'm like 5 years ago, I was not even me. I was not even Aimee. And I don't know, for me at least, that was one of my favorite ways to think about it. I am 50 days away from that horrible thing that happened to me, but I am safe and I'm getting further and further away from it every second. Obviously, I just talked about time, but lastly, time, I don't think heals everything. It can be used as comfort, but healing is an active process. You can't lie there and cry for years on end. 100% feel your feelings in the moment and feel them afterwards for as long as you need to. But there does come a time where you have to dig yourself out of that rut, and it hurts and it's harsh to hear. But you're still living in that old mindset when you don't still have that old person or that old goal. You have to move with the change. You have to build a new mindset, new goals, new dream person. And it's hard. And I get that. And anybody listening to this, and if you are going through something and you're just moving on, don't think I don't have compassion for you. It's really difficult, and it's not something that can happen like that. With relationships, they say it takes the amount of time you guys were together and then half it to move on. I don't know how true that is. I would say from my first heartbreak, it probably took me just under a year to move on. So I'm not sure, but as I was doing that, I made new friends, I changed jobs, and I built a new normal for myself that no longer included that person. And so in this new life, I wasn't looking around at my things and my friends thinking, oh my God, I remember when me and that boy went to this place. Oh my God, I remember when me and him did this or that. Nobody in my life, and also none of my things, reminded me of him. In fact, anytime that I'd rekindle with old friends, I found that it actually took me back a little bit, and I'd be like, oh my God, this is bringing back bad memories. And that's another reason that sometimes you just have to build a completely new normal, and you have to accept that there are some friends that just can't be in your circle anymore, and it will help you heal faster. And lastly, to answer your question of who am I without this person, who am I without this goal, you are you, and nobody can ever take that away from you. Nobody can steal that birth certificate and rip it up. They probably could, but they're not going to, okay? You you can feel personally victimized by what's ever happened to you. You can feel offended. You can feel heartbroken. You can feel angry. Babes, you can slash every tire. Actually, don't do that. You're meant to slash 3 tires and then leave one, because then they don't get insurance on it. Little tip from your auntie Aimee, but just keep that between me and you. Do everything you need to do, okay? But then know that life has to move on. Life has to move on. And you have to start building a new normal for yourself. And if it comes to loss, like somebody in your family passed away or somebody in your life passed away, I would say it's a similar situation. You never have to forget the person. You can have memories of them around in your house, but you do have to remember that now your new reality is that this person isn't around anymore, and it's okay to be hurt by your expectations not meeting reality, but it is something you have to come to terms with, and you can always build a new life for yourself, and it will be just as beautiful and just as vibrant. And personally, I believe in God, and I always believe that people are waiting for you behind those pearly gates, at least if they were good. To conclude, anybody moving on, put that sad film on, get that tub of ice cream, feel your feelings for a few months, then go out, build new hobbies, make new friends, become a better and new version of yourself, because you deserve it. Do it for you, okay? Nobody else is going to do it for you. Do it for you. Sorry this fucking episode was so preachy. I don't know. I was really in my feelings today. So thank you for listening, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Aimee Talks Too Much. Let me know if you like these sort of videos. Let me know if you never want me to give you advice again, and if it was awful and incoherent. And let me know what you want to hear in the next few episodes. I have loved filming these, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, lovelies. Bye.